This whole thing started because about 4 years ago, we were introduced to the disboard.org and Discord child sexual abuse material trading scandal. This thing that would go on every hour of every day of every year for years and years. Is basically we basically had an infinite amount of access to child predators. And when you're faced with something like that, as like a teenager or whatever, what do? Well, you see how many people you can dox. You try scamming them, which worked. Doxing worked. It all worked. Reporting to authorities worked. You see how many of their child sexual abuse material files you can report as well. Largely, these methods were inefficient in the grand scheme of things to actually tackle prevention. But nonetheless, this was a starting point which quite honestly changed our lives, I would say. It changed my life for sure. And that's, why I have this whole project here. But I kind of saw inefficiencies, so I tried to branch out myself. Went on a kind of a quest. And I was thinking, well, can the pedophiles be helped? And I know what you're thinking, maybe that's a little bit crazy. And it might be, honestly. But the point is to see things from a different perspective, where it's like, okay, well, I don't just care about ending this child abuse ring. I care about ending everything, every single aspect of child exploitation. This is my life purpose now. It was about that time that I discovered that this was my life purpose. And so I thought, well, is there a way to prevent offense before it happens? Is there medication to give to pedophiles which can actually prevent those kinds of things? Quite a heavy topic, quite a taboo topic, quite honestly. Branched over to OSINT a little bit, right? Branched over to creator partnerships, of course. Finding content creators and getting them to speak about these things. And speak about actionable solutions, real solutions. Then the team and I, we made a couple letters to send out to parents. And to this day, there's all this stuff which still exists, everything that we've done, which is great. It's all on the website. You can read more if you'd like and everything. I was basically going around though as what I call a student of hope. And that is someone who has recognized the injustice in the world through all of these things, through this like indirect trauma. There was some direct trauma, but there's some other indirect trauma as I began hearing more stories of people who were affected by all of this. It's your life purpose. So you want to be a student and you want to understand and you want to hopefully know a thing or two about fucking anything. Which was largely the problem, is working in a certain direction, whether it's reporting child predators or OSINT or whatever the fuck else, working in this area, realizing you can't do it, or you're just not equipped to do it, or it's impossible to do, and then moving on to the next thing. It's a very difficult journey, and I know a lot of us have kind of experienced this pain. So I was mainly just kind of like suffering deeply, just fucking crying so much over the problems that we were witnessing. These constant 24/7 problems. Suffering deeply with the occasional good bit of feedback that I received, through the project and everything, from time to time, which that did keep me going, and it still keeps me going, I'll be honest. So I feel like all of this points towards what happens next, which I believe is the creation of an ethos around exploitation prevention. This isn't a cause, right? This isn't a cause anymore. I've heard that so many times over the years that, whoever comes by is like, I support the cause. What can I do to support the cause? It's not a cause. We're going to imprint this on our hearts. This is our lives. Because what we're dealing with is the exploitation of the most vulnerable people among us. So it's not just a cause. Every single person on Earth, period, has a huge, massive role to play in the fight against exploitation. I would argue that every single person has a deep purpose in this life. So we need to recognize that exploitation and fighting this war is a great shared work, as I think of it. I think of it as a great shared work that we all have a purpose in. And the purpose that we have is not just a personal, deep, rich purpose, although that is what it is for so many of us. But it is also this multifaceted purpose that extends in multiple areas. It goes to our local community and self, this part of our lives. It goes over to the wider cultural, wide scale of society. And then it goes up to the transcendent, to the heavens, to the divine aspects of life. And then, of course, it goes down to the practical reality of Earth, like just practical shit, day-to-day steps. It's been a long journey discovering my purpose. But I don't know if my particular purpose is to focus too heavily on OSINT. I think it is to be more of a generalist in a way. But that's another conversation, I would suppose. So I think that we should define some values, like a system of values and virtues. I know it sounds kind of weird, but to operate by, to ensure that we are going to be successful. And of course, we're open. I'm open to co-create this with everyone. That's the purpose of this project, is to co-create, but also to define a sort of direction and ethos and perhaps value system to ensure that we can create effective change. The values we currently work by are action. So just taking action in the face of incomprehensible injustice. Empathy, which is understanding generally that all the problems matter. Every last problem matters. The small details like collecting data on when a child predator joined a Discord server, all the way up to huge level things like sweeping legislation to prevent tech companies, or even to creating a sort of culture, which is what I would like us to do now. Having control over our technology and our lives, and to some extent, just the problems that we face. Like having a healthy amount of control over the problems that we face. Controlling our technology, because we can't let it control us, because that leads to so much exploitation. Particularly everything that we discovered initially. Integration of the different sensibilities that people have. A lot of people are focused on justice. A lot of people are focused on prevention. And a lot of people want to lead teams and organize resources in an effective way. So there's many different kinds of us in this war. Of course, with this audience, we are mainly people. We come from different areas, but I feel like mainly we are the anti-predator online community, which, you know, does come from the people who are kind of out there like reporting child predators, using OSINT, these kinds of things. But also we get some activist type people, in addition to, you know, another amount of people. Communication is another value. Communicating effectively with each other, understanding that words can get kind of messed up. Communicating with the world, these ideas. Having accountability and transparency. And of course, all of these values and everything, they're rooted in the problems that we see in the world. And they are a response to those problems. If we are accountable and transparent, which is what I try to do, especially with this project, then we are tackling the problem of how trust is exploited in our world to abuse people. So everything that we do should be a reaction to the problems of our time. That's kind of the general thing that I wanted to tell you. This is our general direction. So from here, I would say pick one thing to do out of the following. Make a pledge or promise, acknowledging that you do have a purpose in this war. If there was anything in you that was unsure that you have a crucial role to play in fighting exploitation, then no, just there's a link. There's a link underneath this to make a promise, which you'll see what that's about. The second thing you can do is, share your story, share your thoughts and your criticisms. Maybe share some of your resources. Share your expertise. Put yourself in our network, right? Because part of what we are is just kind of like a hub for different kinds of people to come together. We want you to be in our network. I want to be in contact, right? I want to see what you're up to. The third thing you can do is contact me directly, or just contact us via our Discord. If you join our Discord, it's kind of like a community. We might also have calls in there if you're interested in hearing more. And, if you want to contact me about anything, you can contact me with any kind of question, because I know this can get a little bit convoluted and a little bit confusing. And the final thing is just read more, I guess. Just read more of what we've been up to. But yeah, those are kind of some actionable steps to take if you want to get involved, if this speaks to you. So with that, I think we'll conclude. Thank you for being here. And let's get this shit done. It's not a cause anymore. This is our great shared work.